his damn mic on. How about now? Can you hear me now? Okay, good. Now that everybody can hear me, let's get back to it. Great information from Captain Yarborough there, letting us know what's going on in some of our counties. And I know there's going to be some folks that are going to wake up and be like, hey, where's this hurricane everyone's talking about? Because it's barely raining where I am. And I get it. I totally do. But if you take a look at more than half of the viewing area, boy, oh boy, is there a whole lot of rain coming down. Again, I'm still waiting for the official call for landfall. It's going to be someplace near Steinhatchee, right up against the Taylor and Dixie County coast, right there where the two counties come together. It's where it feels like to me, but I haven't called it yet, so when they do, we'll let you know. And one of the things I think to take from that is, remember, that landfall point, while it's something that we all fixate on, it's not the most important thing. It's where those bands of rain are, because that's where the winds are going to be the strongest. That's where the water's going to come down the hardest. And from right north of Keaton Beach, almost up to Perry right now, through Mayo, over towards Fort White, back down through Cross City, that's that one band that's probably going to be the strongest of them. And as it moves a little bit north, hopefully gets a little bit weaker. There's a pretty significant band along I-10 from Monticello and Madison all the way through Live Oak and down towards Lake City. That one's been a pretty sizable and a pretty significant band for the last 45 minutes or so as well. And then if you take a look, you get into Tallahassee, you get to Crawford, that Highway 319 corridor, we've got some showers, we've got some rain. But that's it. Nothing like some of the activity that we've got in some of our eastern areas. Watch how it's moved over the past 3 hours. There's that core wobbling a little bit more northeast. So, yeah, it's headed that way. And that means maybe making a beeline into parts of Lafayette County up towards Mayo and Live Oak over the next several hours. It is moving so slow. 10 or 12 miles per hour, that's it. And it almost feels like it's moving slower than that. So I think one of the issues that we're going to have today, maybe the issue we're going to have today, is as slow as this moves for so many hours, we're going to get some of these serious rains. And you know, some of those rains will wrap around. Some of those bands will extend a little farther to the west. So we're going to get a couple of pops where maybe we do get a heavier round of rain in some of the spots to the west that haven't seen very much yet. But I think the lion's share of all this rain is going to be Jefferson County and east. And that's how we've been thinking about it for the past day or so. I'm still going on the 6 o'clock information, at least for a little while longer. 80 mile per hour sustained winds near that core. A lot of it at the surface nowhere near that strong, which is great. And as this continues to work its way very slowly to the north and to the east, this is going to be a huge rainmaker up the east coast. I hear we've got some live pictures or video from Madison County, so let's take a look and see what we've got there. Hard to see a whole lot. Now, the sun's coming up a little before 7 today, so we'll start to get an idea. Now, not that we're going to expect to see a lot of sunshine, but at least it'll make it lighter outside, even with all the clouds. And, of course, the farther east you go with the clouds and the rain, we're going to have a whole bunch of that. Maybe some areas to the west where there's actually some drier air in the upper part of the atmosphere, and that is also part of what's pushing this storm more to the north and east. Well, maybe that'll show us a little bit of sunshine later on today, too. It's going to really be the tale of two different towns. When you get to our eastern areas, so much rain, and you get to our westernmost areas, hardly any rain. You get into the parts of the Panhandle, you get into parts of Alabama, no rain at all. So very, very different from east to west today. This is from the weather stem. I can see some of the rain up against the camera lens at times. And yeah, on I-10 in Madison, on I-10 through parts of Jefferson County, there's been some serious rain for the last little while. We do have several watches and warnings. The hurricane warnings are where we expect the hurricane-like conditions. And that is right now for Franklin and Wakulla County, but definitely for Jefferson, for Taylor, Lafayette, Suwannee, Madison, up through Brooks and Lowndes. And we've got the tropical storm-like warnings all around that. And I do expect tropical storm-like conditions, not just the rain, but the wind, maybe those wind gusts that get up over 39 miles per hour. So let's talk a little storm surge. That's a big issue for some of our coastal areas, especially Taylor and Dixie County, but also Jefferson and even Wakulla. So I think we can find some of that surge up over 6 feet higher than normal, maybe closer to a foot more than normal. Now, one of the things working in our favor has been the fact that we had our high tide very early this morning, and the next one's not till the middle of the afternoon, hopefully when the storm is well on land. So we're not getting that additional surge on top of the high tide, but it's certainly going to still be a lot of water piling up against the coast. Really nice to see that until 4 o'clock today, that tornado watch is still in effect, but it's for now farther to the east out of our area. Doesn't mean there can't be a couple of stronger and dangerous storms. There still can be. But it means that the conditions seem less and less likely for those spin-up tornadoes, which sometimes happen with landfalling tropical systems. So that's great news. Flooding feels like it's going to be the primary concern for today and going forward because of all the rain. And I know there'll be some areas that don't get a whole lot of rain. You're like, Rob, what are you talking about? It's not even raining here. But there's going to be so many other spots that get so much rain, maybe more than a foot in places. Add to it all the rain that we've already gotten, and that's going to cause some flooding. Alligator Point, the live shot is up. Let's take a look at that picture and that video and see what's going on out there, because this is really going to be something that we're able to get a handle and to get an idea of what's going on in other locations. You see those trees bending a little bit and you see those trees moving a little bit. Alligator Point is one of our spots that not only do we usually get a good surge up against the coast that always washes out that road, but we also get some pretty strong winds. It's got to have something to do with the shape and the way it sits there. But yeah, real windy at Alligator Point and real wet here too. So we are going to find some of our areas even to the west around the coast that do get some of the heavier gusts and get some of the stronger wind, and certainly we'll get some of that surge also. So this is thanks to our friends at the Weather Stem. Also, you can really see those trees moving around. And I think as we now are getting to the point in the day where it's a little bit lighter outside, more of these cameras will be able to tell us more of a story, and we'll be able to show you more of what's going on, hopefully while you stay safe indoors and let this blow through. I know there's going to be a lot of temptation, especially in Tallahassee, when you're like, it's just a little bit of rain. But the more we can stay off the roads, the better. It was nice to see all these agencies and all these businesses and all these communities shut things down. It's that way to make sure people can stay safe, plus for the people that would have to, come on in from out of town. State workers that maybe travel along I-10 from near Madison County into Tallahassee, it'd be a really treacherous drive. So it's good that these things are closed down and quiet down. I know it's going to feel like in some spots that you can go about your normal daily business and maybe you're going to try, but the more you can stay off the roads today and leave that for the emergency crews that are trying to get to places to help people out, the better off it's going to be. The flooding is a real concern, and I think that's going to continue. Watch here on this computer forecast. It's maybe just a little slow, right? Because at 6 o'clock, or the initialization of this model, it's got the center more offshore. It feels like it's a little bit more on land and maybe just a touch to the south. But I mean, just a touch. This one is handled pretty well. And we get to noontime today, still hadn't moved a whole lot. We still have some of those bigger feeder bands wrapping around the system and probably giving us a pretty good soaking, even as far west as maybe Gadsden County and maybe into Decatur County. I need to see that happen. I still don't know if it's going to get that far west, but I do think we can get some of those wraparound bands. But as we get to 8 o'clock tonight, places like Lake City and Live Oak and Valdosta, still big rain expectations into the evening and nighttime hours. And then as we get through Tuesday and into Wednesday, we still see it on the screen. So not in a hurry to get away, which means lots of rain well east of Waycross and over towards Jacksonville and up the coast. And they're going to be talking about big flooding potential if they get 2 or 3 days worth of rain from this. Hopefully we just get the one, but I think today is going to be a really soggy day. Now I know we hear hurricane, we hear tropical storm, we immediately think of big winds. Here are the winds we're looking at so far this morning. These are the current wind speeds. These are the sustained winds, that 1 minute average. In Perry, 30 miles per hour. That's windy, absolutely windy. In Thomas, it's 21 miles per hour. That's windy. Nothing you want to hit a 9-iron into, but certainly not what you expect with a hurricane, especially one that's making landfall. Now here on the wind gust, that's the strongest one I've seen. Perry now a 62 mile per hour wind gust. As a matter of fact, I see at Lafayette High School 49 mile per hour wind gust. These are those 2-3 second bursts. That's closer to where that core is. Remember, that core itself, it's only 30 miles or so wide. So it's a very small area that are going to have those biggest wind gusts, and that is going to continue likely to lift up maybe into parts of more Lafayette and Suwannee County, and that means we'll get some of those gusts maybe for parts of Madison and Hamilton and Eccles County. So we'll be watching for those gusts, and that's one of the main concerns when you have all these waterlogged trees and tree limbs. A strong wind gust like that can absolutely knock that limb down, and of course that can cause all those power issues. So these are the winds we're talking about. Most of the gusts that we're going to deal with in that 20 to 40 mile per hour range, which is certainly strong enough and dangerous enough for sure, but it's not that visual memory that we have of what we expect during a hurricane. Here's what the radar looks like. One more time, a little wider picture. You can see that core. It's clearly on land right now, waiting for that call to happen officially. And the more that it moves to the north and east, hopefully it will speed up a little bit. A lot of the implications are that it's not going to be able to speed up. It's going to run into some resistance to the north. But the more it does move on land and the more it starts to weaken, hopefully we can start to calm down some of this rain. All right, we're going to reset. We got lots more to talk about. We'll continue tracking and checking this. We'll continue posting online. I know there's some folks that were without power, and the best way to get a hold of us is to see what's going on with all of the app and all of the social media locations. We'll keep putting the information there for you too, so that way we can all stay ahead of what's going on. It's a good day to just let this pass itself through and let this rain move away. I know western areas definitely different than eastern areas. Just be careful if you're going to be out there on the roads. The fewer people on the roads likely going to be the better guys. I'll have more in just a couple of minutes.